Hi and welcome in today's video. Mariam here, sharing about how to live a more nourishing, energizing and prosperous life. This video is, hopefully I can make it if she doesn't wake up too soon. This video is part number 2 of the previous video I made about my birth story. And in this video today, right now, I want to share the answer to other questions that I've had, especially targeted around the birth of that little one, Anya, who is today 5 weeks old. So the next question I had, so in the previous video, part 1, which I encourage you to watch because otherwise you won't really understand this current part number 2, I shared about the whole labor story and how I came into labor, how the whole thing happened, the first part of labor, which is more the less active part of the labor, and then the more active part of labor. I shared about how I started being alone because this is what I wanted, and then I had a couple people around, but I shared how I had no medical support and how I basically had an unmedicated and assisted labor and then delivery, which is this current part of the video. So answering the question number 1 of this video, part 2, how did you check your baby's heartbeat and how did you check your dilation? So, very good question. When it comes to checking things, as I shared in the previous video, I don't think it's good to try and understand figures, to try and check the figures when it comes to either your contractions, which I call waves, or the dilation of your cervix or your baby's heartbeat. I think it's better to feel what is right in your body and to feel that everything is going normal and okay. Normal doesn't really mean anything, but follow that everything feels right, basically. So when it came to the contractions, the waves, I felt like everything was evolving very gently, and I felt like I was in control and I was enough of an observer to be able to follow the flow and accompany, very important word that I shared in the previous video, accompany the waves, and through the breath, through affirmations, be present and centered. And that's the only thing you really need to do. And if you can do it really well, you will kind of understand the whole process intuitively and be able to master it. That makes sense, even if you never gave birth before. Now, when it comes to the dilation of the cervix, meaning under there, how is your birth canal, how ready is your birth canal to actually deliver the baby? I did the same in terms of feeling experience. It's all about a feeling experience. I trusted my body when it came to how ready it was and how ready it would be at some point to give birth. But I did do something more physical. I was, again, if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to watch, but I'm going to be real. When it comes to having a successful birth, especially a successful natural birth, I believe you have to be in peace with your body and you have to be in peace with connecting with your body physically as well. And this may mean that you are okay to touch certain parts of your body, to touch with your fingers, to be, like just be in peace with knowing yourself. And knowing yourself may mean touching yourself as well. So in other words, I'm not saying you need to touch yourself. I'm saying I was personally using my fingers and checking that area down there, the cervix, how dilated it was, how in other words, how open was this area down through the birth canal. And I could notice all along the process that it was going larger and larger, more and more open. And at some point I could feel also that I could feel the head of my baby, and I could feel that I guess it's okay. I'm not a scientist, right? But the placenta was open, and that I knew that things felt right and that she would be more or less soon ready to come out at some point. But I had no idea how long would the labor last and how long, if it was in terms of hours or minutes. I had no idea. That's the thing. And I wasn't really bothered because I trusted my body again. Whether I would have enough time to make it to the birthing center, well, I had called the midwife and she told me to wait. So I trusted that this was the best thing to do. But I believe, because I gave a figure when it comes to the number of contractions that probably wasn't correct, and considering the fact that I didn't really know how to count the contraction, that's why she told me to wait, when really I was already into advanced labor and should have been going to the birthing center before. Anyway, so coming to this dilation, that's how I checked. I was using my hands. I was physically checking with my fingers how dilated I was. Everything felt right. This is the most important. And when it comes to baby's heartbeat, I didn't check anything for this. I just was feeling that, again, everything was going well and fine. If you don't feel like that, or you feel like you're unable to feel, to connect with your body to a level that you can feel if everything is okay or not, don't go for this. Don't go for a natural birth, or go for a natural birth with support, with midwives and maybe doulas and people who can help you relax and help you check and help you monitor things that you feel more comfortable monitoring. But if you feel like you are strong enough, I'm not saying we aren't strong enough when we don't do that. I'm saying it does require a certain level of self self-awareness and knowing yourself enough and being in peace with yourself and being in peace with the whole experience, no matter what, to be able to go through a unmedicated and assisted birth. And I'm not encouraging people to have a birth that is unassisted medically, but I feel like it is a whole other experience that you will never get through anything else that will make you the most empowered, peaceful, aware, awakened human being on this planet if you go through this. I really truly do believe that. It's amazing who you become when you go through this. It's hardly explainable with words, but it's like an initiation where you understand everything. I like to call it the game of life. You understand how everything works, because giving birth with your own self as your main follower and your body as your main follower is allowing you to, it's like the same for everything else afterwards when it comes to how should I say, managing a house, managing a business, managing a family, understanding how things work in a relationship. All of this, when you give birth by yourself, but being, not in a crazy, scary way, in a way that is totally prepared. That's another thing you need to do, preparing yourself and educating yourself. When you do that, you are so empowered. This is just wow. This is just wow. You understand the game of life, how life works inside out. Yeah, inside out. Okay. So no, I wasn't checking the heartbeat, but I knew she was all right because I could feel she was fine. Number 2 question of this video. Oh, okay. So in the whole birthing story, at some point, I rang the hospital a second time. I rang my midwife, and that was the time when I shared in previous video. I did say that I felt like I wasn't able to keep going. I think it happens to everyone at some point. You feel like you've given your entire self, you're done. But I didn't feel like I was done in a sense that I wanted an epidural, but I felt like I wanted to be in a pool, in the water, because again, I had no idea how many hours or how long the whole labor would last. And the truth is, I was at the very end. So around 12 noon, I rang the hospital and asked, can I have a midwife? Because I can't do it anymore. I need someone, and I can't actually, I felt like I couldn't go to the hospital due to the intensity of the experience. And the midwife said, remember COVID? No, we're not allowed to come. You need to come over, but we are ready for you. So there I was, trying to get ready with my partner and my mother-in-law to go into the car and drive to the birthing center to hopefully jump in the pool, clin d'œil, as we say in French, or go in the pool to keep on laboring. And as I stand up, I realized, so that's where, again, I had this, in my birth plan, there was no pushing. There was no part where I was going to push because I just didn't believe in that. I believe that gravity and her weight would both be enough, and patience would be enough for her to come out without me having to go through 3, 2, 1, push, come on, and the whole process of pushing that people go through when they go for a hospital birth. I definitely didn't want that, and just did not believe. It wasn't even in my makeup, like it wasn't even in my plans or in my visualization or in my idea of giving birth. And if something isn't there, chances are you won't get it, because there's two parts of this: things that you don't believe at all, and things that you believe in but you don't want. That's two different things. So when I was sharing be open when it comes to having a birth plan, it means that yes, there's things that you open yourself to even if you don't want them, but there's things that you also don't believe at all, that they're not part of your existence. That's slightly different. Closing the bracket and coming back to this, so I didn't believe in pushing, therefore my birth didn't have any push. When I say that, I mean I was, again, being an observer of my body, of what my body was going through, and I was accompanying the process. So at some point, when I said I wanted to go to the birthing center and I was actually standing up to get ready, I felt my body had this urge to push something massive. Like my body was going through a whole phenomenon of, I felt like I had a watermelon or a football coming out of me, and my body was pushing that out of me. So the only thing that I think, if there was something that was scary in the whole process, that was this. But again, your mind makes it scary because you never had that experience. But the feeling of having something way too big that is going to come out of you, it feels like your body, especially down there, is going to explode and tear and bleed, and you're going to be cut into pieces because of how scary the feeling is, or how your mind makes it scary for you, but it isn't. Again, trusting and being patient there. So instead of trying to push even harder because of this feeling, this urge that is coming of something massive coming out, again, accompany the body. So it's kind of, for me, it was, I had to contract there. So I told my mother-in-law, my partner, can you please give me 5 minutes, because I just need 5 minutes. And they said, okay. So I went into the bath. All this is intuitive. I didn't even tell myself, now you're going to do this, now you're going to, I just jumped in the bath. I still had my gown on, and I just felt how strong this urge was. And I put my hand down, and I could feel my baby's head coming out. And I touched around. I felt, how is this gonna fit? I remember having had this feeling, but then I just had to let go, and my body was pushing that head out, and within a few seconds, she was there. So that's what I mean. There was no pushing, in the sense that I never told myself, now, Mariam, you are going to push. But I was there noticing that my body was pushing kind of by itself, but I was accompanying the feeling. So it felt like I was pushing as well, but I wasn't really. I was just contracting down there and accompanying the flow while letting go. It's very hard to put this into words, but imagine, all right, you're accompanying your body basically. And there she was. So a few seconds, no push, or we could say one body, my body pushed once, that only time, and she came out. She came out crying. So I felt like it was enough of an indicator that she was fine. Again, if your baby isn't, if this is an experience you're having and things aren't working the same way, follow you, seek help. I'm not saying every time or every birth or every delivery is like that easy, because it was for me easy and that intuitive and that flowing, but it should be if you are like that, if you are a person who is fearless in the process, or are able to switch your mind to peace as soon as it tells you some fearful situation or fearful feelings. If you are like that, everything's going to be fine. If you turn yourself into peaceful mode every time you need to, through your breathing again, through your mind mastery, through your affirmations, through connecting with yourself more and more to a deeper level without interferences from the outside world, you are going to be so fine. And so, again, empowered. So no pushing. I never pooped either. One of the reasons is because I practice fasting, and I did that during my pregnancy. Not that I fasted for a long period of time like I used to do, but I was doing intermittent fasting, and I really think that's a way to, number one, feel your body more, number two, have more energy because you're not digesting so much all the time. And also, yeah, the digestive tract and your colon aren't having food queuing to go to the toilet. You only have food there once in a while, like once during the day, or once during the day, but not just food queuing. And I think that's the thing why people poop, is because they have so much stool down there waiting to come out, and you don't get that when you do intermittent fasting. And that doesn't mean you don't have any nutrition, or not enough nutrition, or not enough whatever. It just means that your body is more like scheduled with things, and you have, again, a lot more energy and awareness, and you can feel your body more because you have this space inside of you that isn't just a body full of food. I do have to say, I don't believe in eating 3 meals a day, morning, lunch, dinner, because that is the best way to be sleepy, to live like a zombie. Yeah, to live a zombie life. But that's only my personal experience, and the experience that I have of people around me I've been working with for over 20 years on the subject of fasting. But yeah, other story. So that's one reason I didn't poop, and that's one reason also I had all this energy to be able to give birth the way I gave, I believe. And together with dancing and keeping being active, I danced throughout my pregnancy. Every week I had been streaming videos on my Facebook profile that you can still see, link down below underneath this video in the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. But yes, because I did dancing, walking outside, I kept active all along. That helped a lot, together with fasting. That helped to give birth naturally, unmedicated, unassisted, and have no poop. And eventually, something I'm coming to, no tearing. That's, in fact, there were two things I was concerned about. It was so pushing, I didn't believe in that, so it wasn't really a concern. But tearing was something I was scared of. I've always been scared of that because I felt like my birth canal was narrow naturally, and so I was concerned about how it could fit a baby's head and body. So that was something, yeah, I was concerned about. But I was confident that through having a natural birth the way I wanted, being patient and taking the time to allow that baby to come when she was ready, I would minimize the experience of potential tearing. But I didn't even think about it. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, then great. But I had no tearing at all, which I thought was amazing and wow. Because again, if you let your body do his own things at the right timing, I believe nobody has to go through tearing and then stitching. No, it doesn't have to be your experience. It doesn't have to be part of the birthing experience. Again, every birth is different, and maybe for some people, natural birth can also go with tearing. But for me, there was no tearing at all. Again, because there was no pushing. That's another reason, I believe. When you push, you force your body to do something that is not ready to do yet. And if you don't push and you wait for your body to be ready to push, then your body is ready. And so there shouldn't be any tearing, I believe. Again, I'm not a doctor, not a scientist, but I believe in this possibility. All right, then advice, yes. The advice I would give, because after this, so when she came crying, I knew everything was fine. My mother-in-law and my partner helped cutting the cord. And the reason we cut the cord is also because after she came, my parents, so my mom and her partner were told, we told them that she arrived at home with no medical support. And in my family, there's medical people who work in the medical field. So that person called the ambulance for me because they thought I needed that, and they thought it was an emergency, and they thought I had to have an ambulance right away. I myself wanted time to relax and chill and connect with my baby, and I had a little time to do that. But very honestly, after I gave birth and we cut the cord, everything, so we cut the cord at our own timing, whenever she was ready and we were ready, and everything was fine. It wasn't like a traumatic experience like it is mostly in hospitals, and I didn't want that either. So yeah, my family rang the ambulance. So my family on my side, not my family in-law, if you see what I mean. And then the ambulance came, and then started the opposite of the type of experience I had, dream birth, and then I would say nightmare kind of second part. It wasn't really a nightmare, but it was an experience that was, it was not an experience that was as pleasant. And I think the positive thing about this second part is that I was able to experience something way less positive and enjoyable, so that I knew that's something I definitely don't want, being in a hospital environment. And that's something that I would wish other people not to have, giving birth. So when the ambulance came, they checked the baby and they drove me to the hospital, and I felt like I was so my power was taken away as soon as I put me in this chair, pushed me to go into the ambulance as if I couldn't walk by myself or do things by myself. And then when I arrived, I felt like, yes, they just decided, oh, why? They asked me tons of questions on how I gave birth or why I gave birth at home, which wasn't actually planned because it was a surprise. She arrived when I was supposed to go to the birthing center, remember that? And they asked tons of questions as if you were like a bad person for giving birth at home the way you gave it, the way it happened, or if you were a dangerous person, or they start, this kind of investigate on you and ask questions of things that I don't even know. Like, when did my water broke? I didn't really have water breaking normally. It was just a slow drip, drip, drip all along the process. And so they would go mad if it was just, I'm not going to go into details, but really the hospital experience, that's where I got the placenta out, because as soon as the ambulance came, my body tightened up and contracted so much, like I was so tensed, and my body was tense as well, that I wasn't able to deliver the placenta at home. So I got it delivered in the hospital, and I didn't even have time to see it or ask any question around it. It was thrown in the bin. Everything was just rushed, just like it would have been probably if I had given birth in a hospital. And that's why I don't advise anyone to do that. So once there, they wanted to run all those checkups on baby and myself. And I stayed, believe me, I stayed there for 7 hours. No possibility to open a window. No window, right? No possibility to turn down the heating. Way too hot. People coming in and out. Oh, sorry, wrong door. Just people making noise around you. All these kind of hospital vibe that I didn't want. Some disgusting, really, but better say that, disgusting food like sandwiches, things that you really don't want to have after giving birth. No tea or nothing like, or herbal tea or nothing like fruit juice or something, nice and kind of healthier option. No, none of this was actually available. And they wanted to keep me overnight, and I had to really, I reckon my partner helped a lot on this, had to really be assertive to say, no, I'm not staying in your unit, just because they felt like the way I gave birth wasn't okay, and I should be kept longer to be watched after and checked in terms of blood, iron, all those things I didn't need, very honestly. So the whole experience of afterwards, when I went to the hospital for the checkup and the placenta delivered, was way more annoying and seemed so long and tiring compared to the actual labor and delivery process at home. it was just mind-blowing. So after that, I was able to leave. So I gave birth at 1 in the afternoon to Anya, and the hospital only allowed me to leave at 11 p.m. in the evening, and they wanted to keep me overnight, but they wouldn't. So yeah, my advice to mom would be, if you can, don't give birth in a hospital, because that's, to me, that's the worst place you can give birth. And if you have the option to give birth at home, and I'm not saying unassisted, but unmedicated, if you can and want to, that is great. Although I believe every birth is fine and every birth is perfect. And no matter what happened, the main thing is that you and your baby are healthy. Okay. I'm going to stop here. I believe I shared everything that was important to share. And if it was to be done again, I would not tell people when I give birth. I would not tell people about the due date. I would not tell people about my birth plan either. 3 things. I wouldn't tell people about the birth plan, the due date, and when the baby's born. I wouldn't tell them until I feel ready, until the 3 stages of delivery are done. Yeah, I would I would keep this time to myself, this precious experience and moments to myself. And once I'm ready and I have recovered, then I would tell people, oh, she arrived, she's there. And then I would tell them how. But no, otherwise, when people get in the way, it's hard. It's hard because you feel like your power is taken away. You feel like vulnerable and weak. And that's when things start to potentially go wrong. The heartbeat increases, the heartbeat of your baby increases, and then people go through having C-sections just because of fear-based experiences and a fear-based environment. And that's it. That's why people say yes, but if you give birth to a hospital, it's less dangerous. Well, if you have a healthy body and mind and surround yourself with positive vibes only, that is less dangerous. That is more safer. Because today, in the name of safety, we live in a controlled and fear-based environment. But really, safety isn't that. Safety is following um, your own inner call and your own inner knowledge of yourself, and following your own self, really. All right, I'm going to stop here. And I wish you the most wonderful birth if you're about to give birth, and the most wonderful life if you are not giving birth but just wanted to check this video. Bye now.